The last time these two teams faced off on Haven, well, Envy just ran away with the game. Blue Otter, desperate not to repeat that, but not quite enough to get the win, falling 11-13 to Envy, up one in the series. That was a really close match. I mean, Dan, when you're considering how much of a lead Envy had at one point, for it to come down to the slimmest of margins, that was so close.
Yeah, that second half was insane. A back and forth between the two. And it was just because both of the teams had such a clear understanding of what the other one wanted to do. And that was the fast pace on A. How many times did we see the spike planted on A for both of the teams? They were trying to play it fast. And on the other side, it was an attempt to slow it down, whether it was Kane Sarah with the ISO, whether it was Bob with the Tejo on the other side. There were many different ways that they were trying to match the tempo for both of the teams, but it's just towards the end, that half buy, the stinger buy that closes it out for Rankers. It's crazy.
I feel like it's such like a fitting way for Rankers to end it too, you know, just making it so close and then having such a wild buy to actually close the map out on and dodge that that overtime there as well that was looming up against them. And you really got to give credit, I think, over to Blue Otter for, you know, this attempt at a comeback from them. You know, they were down initially 1-6, favoring Envy there, and for them to come back into the second half, and they had such a good plan, I think, of attack on the second half of Haven, very similar to what we saw from TSM. I think just taking those moments to breathe and knowing the faults in that NB composition here as well, where they do have to, you know, opt to take a little bit more space. They know that this NB squad is going to like to walk up on those extremities once they are starved from some of that information. And Blue Water, they had the read on it and they took advantage in trying to pick them apart.
One of those rounds where it seems like finally Rankers could get control of this match again was that clutch that we saw from Popping, that 1v2 where he gets one with the operator, gets one with the shorty. We just saw it. And that allowed them to keep ahead just by one round. It seems like it was going to go to overtime, but that's a good one to stop that. And also something that Ventile was talking about was that we talk about this team that is so chaotic, so messy, but there's always that method behind the madness. And we see it on these rounds, the way that they want to play fast, the way that they want to fight for A control, the way that they want to even deny that side control before it even happens for Blue Otter. It's just been so clean for this team of Rankers. And yeah, things get messy, but that's when you see them shine the most. That's when they're having the most fun.
Most fun, and most fun for us to watch. But man, there was definitely a world where I thought we'd be having a very different conversation right now, because for as fast and as furious as this NV team plays, Blue Otter were shooting back, and a really, really good job to make this as close as possible, because I cannot express again how close it was. To lose to the Stingers at the end was just insanity. 14 first bloods and their way. And looking at the player performances too, I think one of the situations where this could have gotten a little messy for Envy was on the back of Kane Zera. I feel like Kane Zera a little earlier on in the match, Ash, was a little quieter. Then we got to see him slowly kind of like warm up. And then once he was fully comfortable and fully just like he's ready, that's when it was the most difficult for Blue Otter.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that, you know, like you were saying, he took a little bit to warm up. It was interesting seeing him like bringing out the Odin on this
Your
map as
favorite?
well. But I think that when you look at the overall picture here for how that initial first half looked with Blue Otter on defense, I think it's, you know, everybody knows that defense is the harder half here on Haven, considering the map control that you need to be able to find and the amount of space that you need to be able to take and whatnot. And Rankers were doing a really good job at like breaking a lot of the setups that Blue Otter were trying to set up there as well. Like, yes, we talked so much about Kane Zera, we talked so much about Eggster, and we even talked about how Poppin was popping off as well. But
Yeah.
Inspire, even though at the bottom there, I think you have to really keep in mind the impact that he has on the attacking side. He's consistently a lurking presence for this team that was really good at getting these backstab opportunities, even keeping Blue Otter from at times grouping up together for those retakes as well. And it's someone that you always have to keep your mind on.
I really like what we saw from Kane Zera. I mean, we talk about This has to be so annoying to play against. It's an ISO, and also you get ulted, and the ISO on the other side is just holding you down with an Odin. I mean, there's just nothing you can do. That's the way to get tilted the fastest. And so if that is a strategy for rankers, which sometimes I feel like it is working out perfectly, especially when it's a map that was so close. There were some great ideas coming from both sides, but I think sometimes when you have that firepower and you have Zera going off and getting those multi-kills, that is what really makes the difference. He was doing it constantly every single time that Blue Otter wanted to go towards that seaside. That seems like there was a spot, there was an opportunity to get more value out of it. It was Zera just waiting, getting 3. Sometimes he was not winning the round, but he was getting still those multi-frags. He ends up with a bunch of first kills. And I mean, he's warm up for the second map. So I think rankers, I said it before, I think they can take this in 2.
They very well could. That's a great first map win. But now looking to the other map, with how they played, I think they can take it in 2. Looking at the history of how this was and the Blue Otter, that was definitely more than capable of shooting back. This is where I'm like, actually, we could have a 3-map banger here. It's Lotus next. This is Blue Otter's pick. And Ash, sure, it was a little bit of a different Blue Otter when these teams first met up way back in week 1. But that was also a Blue Otter to beat Envy on this Lotus pick, the only map that Envy had lost in the Swiss play. And so now if we're talking about a Blue Otter that's only scaled, then realistically, shouldn't they then win this out?
Hey, I don't know. I think, Dan, I feel like it is a tough choice between these two here on Lotus.
Well, for me, I'm thinking Envy's taking this, and I mean, they did play this map when they faced a matey just that last match. And the reason why I think it's I was just talking about Zera. He did so good on the ISO. He's warm up, and he's gonna keep playing this ISO on this map of Lotus. So I mean, what that's all you need. ISO going crazy with the Odin on Lotus. It just everything is fitting for rankers to win it.
You're just like, I will not hear anything going up against Envy whatsoever. They're winning it. Simple as that. This conversation's not open. I mean, if Zera and the rest of the team are performing how they were, then I definitely think there's a super, super strong case to be said there. But again, 13-11 on a map where previously Blue Otter kind of got destroyed on. I think that I'd be regretful to say that I don't think the Blue Otter could definitely get this. I think this is definitely going to be close. If this is going to be the same Blue Otter we see in this next map, regardless, I'm excited for this, to be able to see Ash kind of that evolution in comparison to where we were. And it'll be fun too, because last time when they faced, well, it was Bob on the Duelist, and now we get to see Zeldris. Even if he was a little quieter last series, he has the opportunity to go crazy here.
Yeah, again, I think it's looking towards him. Again, such a big win condition. But you do have to, I don't want to take away from Blue Water, though. Even though Zeldris was not having, the best time on Haven, every other player on that team really stepped up for the squad. I think that there are a lot of really great utility combinations that we saw coming out from them, which is something I expect to be able to repeat here on Lotus. And it looks like a different Blue Otter from what we saw up against Shopify Rebellion Black yesterday as well. I think their synergy was really lovely as far as the macro plays and even just like micro util combos that we saw coming out from them on Haven for a lot of those executions and retake scenarios, just to clear as much space as possible when they're looking to flood onto site.
There was also a thing where he cannot play the way that a Jet usually plays on this map of Haven, the way that they usually peek with the operator towards A. You cannot do that because every single round is an aggressive hit from rankers on A side, and the only thing that they were doing to slow that down, instead of having that operator be that presence right onto side, you had the salvos from Bob trying to slow it down. You had the breach utils trying to slow down this play, but you cannot play for that contact because, as you were saying, Ash, they had the ISO shield that is gonna just be so annoying to deal with every single time. So it's not that Soldiers just had a bad game, it was just he had to play different to what he's used to. But now going into this map, you need to expect something different from Soldiers. This is an elimination match still. This is still trying to make it all the way through the lower bracket run, and it's not going to be easy. Rankers, they have the advantage, but I mean, there are some good opportunities for Blue Otter to take it. So it's going to be the Duelist definitely having to wake up, but everybody else to see if they can push us at least to the third map.
At least we get to go to the Zeldris Rays for this Lotus, assuming they're going to be playing what they've normally gone for on this map, which I would imagine, considering this has been strong for them. So Zeldris on the Rays is always one of my favorites to be watching. But I love that you bring up that it's elimination match. So this is where, Ash, the tensions are going to be the highest. Blue Otter, it's whether they have that resiliency to push on through and push it to one more map.
Yeah, I think what's exciting too is, we just saw Haven heading into Lotus, our other 3-site map here, right? But it's a very different approach to these two maps. With Haven, you have some longer rotations, and it's with Lotus, you have that ability to be a little bit more dynamic with the fact that you have rotating doors, you have the broken doors for really fast pivots towards these sites. And I think that that is something that is going to be interesting considering the compositional differences for what we expect to see in agent select. So, I'm going to hold my pause there in case there are changes that come out. I don't think any of us are expecting for those adjustments to be coming through. But I think that when you look towards what Blue Otter have to offer with the Breach Teho that they're running alongside that Raze, they have more utility to actually respond to Envy with when they are going to be looking to take that map control that Envy do favor very heavily.
Yeah, I'm so excited to get into this. We're just waiting for all of our players to hop into the server to make sure that we're all good. But yeah, Envy, even in that loss going up against M80, to take this as their only map win in this set, I definitely think bodes really well for them. Even when we're looking at the fact that they dropped a series, it was an Inspire on this map in particular, Dan, that went just absolutely massive. And when we're talking about the impact that he had on that first map of Haven, if there's any aspect of that that's replicated there, I definitely think it'll be difficult for Blue Otter to go up against.
Yeah, it is not going to be easy on this map, and I think Inspire is, one of those pieces that we talk about, but sometimes goes underrated just because of all the craziness that is going before you get to see, what we just saw from him on the Cypher. But on this map, there's better opportunities for him to get away with those kind of plays. And for rankers, we're seeing the composition that we just talked about, right? It's the ISO and the Yoru that they're going to keep playing, just as we saw in Haven. Obviously, a little bit of that slight change from that Sova to the Fade from Poppin compared to the first map. But it's a composition that fits them so well. So I'm happy to see it. And it's a really good counter as well for that Vice from Blue Otter.
All right, everything, you're mostly the same going into this. I'm still so excited. Ash, when we have the official lock-in of all the agents, any final thoughts before heading into our match?
I think, again, you've just got to be able to keep an eye out for the wombo combos that are coming out from Blue Otter. I think that you got to keep an eye out for how rankers are going to approach that rubble control as well, because they don't have as much util to fight aggressively for it. Wait and see if they can bait out some of that utility, such as the Breach, send those salvos out from Blue Otter, and then look to re-clear a little bit later into the round is going to be a key difference maker here for their A approach.
All right, win concept out. I love it. It's time to see now, after a map that was so close, if Blue Otter can take down Lotus to get a map 3 in, or if it's going to be elimination. It's time to head back into the map. And with that, it'll be Tenric and Vanzilli to take you through.
Thanks again, Sierra. Until further notice, rankers are treading water on this attack on Lotus. Sure, they hammer through M80 between A and C site in their previous matchup, but Blue Water, they did two things particularly well last map: interceptions and reorienting. And this comp is built to do specifically those two things against this ranker squad, Vance.
And one thing they also did well against Envy was actually giving Envy their first and only map loss during the Swiss stage, and it was on this map here of Lotus. Again, the Des has mentioned before this game started, though, that it was a different roster. But this time around, you still have Bob coming in as the initiator. You're still having a Raze in the composition, this time wielded by Zeldris, and Zeldris is also very good on that comp. Starting off the defensive side, though, you do have a little bit of a slower start for Envy. Because of these one-ways being thrown, they're still trying to create a conditioning towards this C side. And as they're moving over here, there's going to be a fast TP. They've already inserted one player from Inspire, but this is all a trap play if they hear the switch of that door opening. Oh, no, he's going to get freaked out.
Yeah, this is an opening that Zeldris is really going to hate himself for later, and Blue Water are forced to open this fight up, but it seems like Zeke and Zoe are pretty excited for it. Out come Blue Water from the baby door, and they'll take control of a decent chunk of courtyard. Do they continue to fight on top of the paranoia? They're forced to. Bob tries to duck away, and Ion deals with that swiftly. Now Zeke has to hold close to try to punish for it, and Shondex has joined them, but with the help of the smoke, you can spray through and have a whole lot more safety. Now a clean 2v1 as Exter will make his way onto site. Ion, Exter on the double back, and that'll save the day for Ranker's opening pistol.
Chaotic. Okay, so we thought it was gonna be chaotic before, and now just like Hiko just told me before this map started, I have to lock in because I think it's gonna continue to be chaotic in this second map. Despite Zeldris dying instantly from the lurk and the insert of Inspire on the top of the orb at this box right here, it still engaged and initiated the trap play that it was initially intended for, a tap on a door or a tap on the orb. And they still got some good value. It came down to a 1v1, good trades and mechanics being thrown by both teams, but NV takes the upper hand. And now it looks like they want to try to go for something aggressive, a contact potentially, or a timing off the front site to allow Zeldris maybe to move forward here. But looks like NV knows a little bit better. They're staying very quiet, just like they did on the pistol round, anticipating that this composition coming out from Blue Otter is going to be consistently off. Okay, they're going to tap orb. We're going to tap orb. They're going to try to make some sort of play. So let's just wait and see and push and prod to see where the stack could be here for Blue Otters.
And no pun intended, they're really trying to egg someone from Blue Water on to get this opener, and Shondex will be forced into the swing by Rankers, actually pressing the matter on C side. Actually does find one in the end, but still Rankers have pretty clean control of this C site. Oh. And so they'll enter early on. Bob sprays through, finds one with the Sheriff, and we have some presence on site. Volkseek has entered the conversation, but Kane Zera has come from the back of it. He's gonna grab 4 off of that undercut. He shouldn't have grabbed 2.
He shouldn't have had that third one there onto Zeke. Zeke had free sights on him to be able to get the kill, but just couldn't get the taps through with the classic to capitalize on that kill. But it all started off so well from the wallbang of through the smoke even of Bob to drop the spike carrier, and that would have given a chance here for Blue Water to flood if they're able to get better timings. But now Zostol gets a little bit of a cap kill onto Kane Zera. On a 1v2, more damage would be good here. That is an expensive flash to throw in this eco. Okay, Slay.
Bit of a shouting match with some bullets here that leads to Zostol finding positioning advantage, but losing the final shots on Exter. We're still dillying and dallying a little too much here on Spike, and Exter's wasted just enough time. Still finding the kills, as impressive as can be, but just not enough to net the round for Blue Water. Yet again, it's by inches that Rankers take the round.
Just 2 unfortunate moments in one single round. The first one being from Zeke onto Kane Zera, and the second one from Zostol almost clutching a 1v3 against the last player being Exter running up towards that bend. And that is, again, another one that screams a little bit of fear in terms of how we're moving around the map here on the side of Envy. We're not really moving together as we know that Envy can kind of do. I mean, they all do individual plays, but there's always usually somebody out right there to instantly trade it back or to swing a couple of seconds later. But that said, they were just in 3 individual spots that Zostol was able to find openings to, and that's going to give you a lot of chances now for, as a Blue Otter fan, if you think here that you can have a strong defensive side, because they're once again doing the pistol round.
Yeah, this is already
our timing.
This is already looking really well done by Blue Water. They've carved out this courtyard nice and early so that they can focus on the C swing before Rankers can adjust fully for it. They'll get through the shear and break it all down, but Blue's quite prepped for this once it's all down, and they would love to get rid of Inspire. Oh, but Zoe sticks around just not long enough.
This is going to be a huge flood retake now for Blue Otter. Everybody play inside the site from Rankers. This is going to be another difficult round for Blue Otter to flood through.
Extra first shutdown. Blue Otter, big util dump to get actually in, but the fight still hasn't come through yet, and Rankers have actually been pushed pretty artificially far back. Bob on the high ground, and they've gotten the majority of the kills. Still solo on time, though, and Inspire's made the full wraparound on Spike. He doesn't extend out of the smoke, though, just gambles on the explosion. That'll go anyway. And Rankers, it's yet again the clock that'll beat the odds.
And that's why we're both kind of silent before Blue Water tried to find a timing to flood execute back into the seaside. I was like, dude, they're waiting way too long.
It was a little long, yeah.
Yeah, but that's the issue. You had to wait for the recycle of the breach stun and also the salvos to allow Blue Water to finally execute into the round. But as the more you wait, you saw Inspire with the lurk coming through.
We'll come back.
But unfortunately, it was just time towards the end. A little bit of a different approach this time around, though, for Blue Otter. They're trying to get a little bit more pressure into mountain control. He even pushing forward. Oh, I love this.
Wow, yeah, Zelda's just getting right on top of it. He somehow finds one, as Rankers will press the matter otherwise, and Exter finds everything off of that.
That's insane. Come on. Like, how do you TP up towards Orb with the classic, turn around and get 2 kills? You escape the stinger spray out from, I was going to call a beautiful play coming out from Blue Otter, because Zeldris is just tanking the team damage to try to get an opener, and then he sprays onto the Yoru, who TPs in front of the orb and gets 2 kills on top of that, and now you get 0 value over here towards the pulse plant in the end, and it's Rankers getting 4 rounds in a row.
Yeah, that is such a wild misdirect that Exter gets away with for way too long. That leads to a couple crucial kills in Rubble that you just can't really search back from, especially if Rankers can immediately condense back into the B site. Now you have your kill contract, now you have your dimensional drift. You can go to A or C with the power of 1,000 pendulums next round.
You got 2 kills like that, man.
That's insane!
I mean, now this is just the shenanigans. This is, I feel like I feel like I've seen other teams in Challengers where they always have like a slow first map, and then second map, third map is just very one-sided. I think it's like M80 of last year, if I'm not mistaken. But at this point, Dimensional Drift, full information on Shondex. And
Wow.
it's a free kill.
Yeah, that was, they just Lil Bro'd him out of A site. Rest of Rankers will collapse on, but Armageddon will, on top of the salvos, they actually gotta get a little narrow up in this drop space, but Blue Otter can't fully profit off of that. In fact, it's Kane Zero who comes up with the first kill, and then he can wall Ion up. This is such an unorthodox push that Rankers are trying to get away with it. I guess to whatever extent they need to, they do. Sure, man, we're 5-0.
Dude, I mean, it was a nice try from Blue Otter to try to delay as much as you could, right? The Armageddon with the salvos. I don't know if they were able to combine a fault line with it, because it didn't look like a lot of Rankers players were stunned by the fact after the ults were being thrown down. And that said, Envy just said, screw it, we're just going to push back towards the spawn fight through the smoke. And it caught Blue Otter off guard in another one of those rounds where you have full rifles and you couldn't really fight back against the aggression coming out from Envy so far. They'll try it again. They have a low buy this time around again, but no stingers. It's just same similar play, and it's stopped by, the outlaw.
God, didn't even hold down the scope.
Yeah.
He treated that as 2 separate outings. And yeah, it'll be a smattering this round.
And that's
Clean up
something
crew.
that we've seen from Rankers before as well here, Tenric. Sorry to cut you, but in these moments where Rankers are going to start being very, very aggressive one side, and you're trying to find a solution to stop that aggression and not try to play like a flood retake, this gives huge windows of timing for Inspire to just walk around the map, around B, around C. So I'm loving this timeout call from Blue Otter right now, because they have to now not only think about how you stop the playstyle of Envy, but also hoping in this timeout that the coach Ocean, sorry, not Ocean, but also on the side of Blue Water, that are also talking about the late lurks coming out from Inspire.
Yeah, because that's become more of an active problem as Blue Water have tried to go more for the retakes. They've just infected even further into the sight lines instead of, just going for the spike and holding back. It has been full-blown aggression and confidence from Rankers on this map. Feels like a 180 shift in mentality compared to Haven. They really feel in their element. They looked at that 13-11 and they said, oh, we can do so much better than that, man. Come on. What are we doing?
And thankfully, though, if you're looking at these replays, the lurks were being identified in these lower buys as well from Blue Otter. So hopefully in the gun rounds, it changes a bit. So it starts off with at least Razor Vines towards the top of the B site. There's not really any indication that allows for you to know that there's going to be somebody still lurking around that spot. So this is still an opening that could be taken care of by Inspire. But as I say that, looks like Shondex finally rotates back so that you can watch that spot. They're anticipating an Omen TP for an execute on the C site. But instead, Envy's going through the same method of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Let's just keep plowing towards this A site.
Yeah, I mean, they recycled this courtyard fight until M80 stopped them on it one time. Why not do the same thing against Blue Otter? This is, yeah. Tools of the trade that Rankers are currently touring us through, but Zeke will completely diff Cainzera before getting stopped by the full-blown push by Rankers, but Blue Otter are actually here for this, and now with lesser people on the board, they feel a little more comfortable intercepting the fight on top of a Steel Garden, but Ion doesn't care about no Steel Garden. He's right up in your face anyway, and Rankers are on the way back out after a fight win like that, except for Inspire, who is in CT spawn. Welcome back, Envy.
Everybody's just getting their ankles broken on the side of Blue Otter. From the TPs that we mentioned a couple of rounds ago by Egg, not saying Egg Sideshow, but Eggster, the player, with the 2K Classic that he just got. But then after, the TP away from the Omen to allow these players to just play their crossfires up towards the end on a B-side plat. They're just getting no value from Blue Water so far.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing more to really say. This is, every vein of Blue Otter's plans are running dry at the moment. And Rankers have full control of wherever this match is taking them. They are the decision makers. They are the shot callers, and Blue Otter has been subject to every one of their commands. The fight has been taken to them every step of the way.
The well's dry. I don't know how much deeper you could dig right now on your defensive side to try to find at least a little bit, like at least some moist ground. Give me something for Blue Otter so that it could probably quench the thirst of trying to get the first round here of this game, of this second map. But as we know, how Valorant's being played, usually at 7-0, we usually get a Brazilian scoreline. So this might be the round here, finally, that Blue Otter could turn things around on a Thrifty out of all rounds, right?
Yeah. This is about when we get that reality check for Blue Otter. In a perfect world, there's Inspire at the perfect timing. Cainzera keeping it interesting on this Outlaw, unnecessarily, as always. Inspire for 2 on the lurk. Sure, why not, dude? He top fragged last game. He'd like to keep the trend going. Zeke is the only one on site, and he's good for 1 somehow. Nothing makes sense in this game, and it's going to continue like that. Rankers are up 8-0.
I saw a little bit of the vision here as Zeke got the first nice little shot onto the C site and almost got the one on the ledge of C site. And that maybe could have allowed here Blue Water to finally find some footing, but at least some confidence moving into round number 9. And it seems like as we've given up on trying to fight towards the... Well, actually, as I say that, we're pivoting back our initiators at that spot. I was trying to see if they're trying to maybe leverage a little bit more aggression, maybe to try to shut down just Inspire in the first place and try to go for the flood retake in the end. But nothing changes. The same setup, the same type of plays. This time trying to get the showstopper. Wait, oh my god, he just kept walking forward and dodged it. Are you kidding me?
A Zeldris showstopper is like a whisper in this game. And it takes a village to deal with Inspire.
Dude. Tenra, he saw him when he was satcheling up.
He was there.
That's insane. That's insane.
Spike planted.
I mean, it really couldn't be any more clear. We're so back in that territory where you just can't hang. This is, I think this is a save if you're Blue Water. I don't know if there's time.
I mean, they have paranoia. That's the biggest thing they have to try to retake and Rolling Thunder.
There you go. Here's your way in. Zeke good for 1 on an extra with the lineup. Still holding this lower ground, and yeah, Rankers have no excuse not to just jump in front of this smoke now that they have the personnel advantage too. No complaints about this Ranker squad right now, Vance.
That's what I was trying to say before. Like the satchels came up.
Poppin has 0 kills.
No, we're not going to talk about that because he doesn't need to. He doesn't need to. You know.
Had to get
you know what? I played 5 stacks with the coaches yesterday, and my initiator. I actually even posted on my Twitter, but I was also at like 0 whatever. I was doing 80 ACS at the end of these games. Why? Because that's the role of the initiator here. Poppin's moving around, finding information with the Prowlers. Your duelists are not missing shots, and you're just creating all that space and information for your team. And all you need to do is plant the spike and keep using util. That's exactly what he's doing right now. He goes with Prowler, he sees information, but it does get 2 kill with the Armageddon on the side of the push of Blue Otter.
And Zeke is there to pick up the rest of the pieces to keep it in favor of Blue Water. Inspire has, gotten inside this B site and has now ulted. Zeldris is not going to find him in time. He's now been checked out as well. But Zeldris can grab the kill before Eggster can get the leg back up, and so it'll be a 1v1. The closest around here has been in a while, folks.
Yeah, but you're playing Eggster. You're playing against Eggster. But I'm not gonna discredit here Shondex. He's been really pivotal, especially in the piss round of the first map of Haven. He hasn't had a chance here to really shine, and this is the perfect opportunity for it. He upgrades to a weapon here, but the more, like, he has to be very cautious on how he re-clears the site, because Eggster could be anywhere.
Truly.
So you're wasting that clock down even more.
Not even gonna use the rose. Shondex gets the angle and the timing. So Blue Water will come away with that opening round. It took a lot, and a lot of it was, we have to talk about that opening play from Bob on the Armageddon. Grabbing 2 in that very first fight. Monumental for Blue Water's momentum. They took over that mound, and there was really no looking back.
Now we're going to move into a round where Poppin is probably going to score like 4 assists because he's got the Nightfall to work with as well. All right, so as much as Blue Water, if they're trying to crunch back into a fight on rubble control, this is all going to be heard by, I was going to say by Inspire in the very beginning. He throws a camera and instantly starts walking up. Meanwhile, though, Blue Water, it looks like they've given up on any type of trap plays. It's let's try to move forward, dictate the pace, fight back towards the main. They got a lot of information there. But as they're forced to fall back, this gives an opportunity now for Envy to move forward. And they'll have the Nightfall moving in towards the A site. Good delays, at least, on the positioning from Shondex on the A site would be a good thing here. So I like the readjustments out from Blue Water for this round.
I just continuing to try to answer the impossible question, how do you throw off a team like Envy? And they are kind of able to steer the ship in the right direction. Zeldris with the paint shells ready for the B site, but Kainzera is speed running this line. I mean, he's it's like Black Friday. He's like, a new kill's on sale. I have to go get it. Bob's the next victim. He has a shorty in his hands on the undercut, dude.
Now it's
finding
Boxing Day.
New ways. Now it's Boxing.
Dude, what can you do at this point, right? But laugh it off, pretty much. I mean, Blue Water, they are definitely trying, but there is just too much map control being done here by Envy. And that's the other beauty about this team is, as much as you could see how aggressive they could be, they could also slow the tempo down in whenever they want. And they slow it down in right moments. And this has to be around the great calling, I think, from Poppin, if I'm not mistaken, the IGL of the team.
Yes.
If not mid-round calling coming out from Inspire. But overall, for them to say, hey, let's stay back towards the spawn. We already saw that there was an Armageddon push towards the previous round. They're probably going to try to do something this time around with their rifles and try to catch us off guard. So we'll hold back towards the spawn. We got all that information. Then you have all the util from Poppin that allows for you to just move freely around the map wherever you want. So this is a beautiful, beautiful display of Valorant on the attack side of Envy so far. And definitely a night and day performance from the M80 matchup. We talked about players that wanted to lock in. Kainzera is currently being the Kainzera that we know. Look at him push the way that he does, right? And he's currently on the top of the board.
Yeah, we saw those map picks coming in, and you could tell Kainzera was like, I would like to pop off today, please. And another shout out, like you said, to Inspire and Poppin for their calling. Poppin with all that util available to facilitate the majority of the stack, and then Inspire with that boundless well of knowledge, always chipping away at whoever is making the earliest mistakes. A really deadly combination. That's just another facet of the behind-the-scenes things that make Envy so deadly.
It's you and me.
Easy kill contract, catch on to Shondex for this opener on the A site. Takes 2 shots more than Kainzera usually needs. But he'll get it done, get this spike down. And it's now just a game of keep away that Kainzera still manages to win way earlier than anyone could possibly expect.
Wait.
Mom, the 2 duelists are on the ledge again.
Yeah. I think I'm being more excited watching this game to see if Poppin's going to get his first kill or not.
I think
he already got one. You already got one. Okay. I was like, oh, he almost got one here towards heaven, but at least got another assist. I mean, he's popping off in that sense in terms of, again, being a good support player for the team, but Now this is an 11-1.5. This is definitely not the same type of matchup I was expecting in terms of what we prefaced going into this map here, Tenrei. We've mentioned here that Blue Otter were the first team that handed the first map loss and only map loss in the Swiss stage to Envy before they were signed and playing under the banner of Rankers, which we currently still see here on the overlay, but that's a different story. But then no matter what, Rankers have come out with a vengeance in the rematch on this map. This is a 13-1. I'm not surprised.
Very few demons that Envy has to dance with exiting their Swiss stage. This was one, and M80 is probably the other one. And Envy would like to get their revenge on that too. It still starts here, 2 rounds to go on the defense, and it starts with Inspire. Go figure. That's one. Stays alive a little too long. Rest of Rankers are here. They'll pop out from the smoke and get this started again before Blue Water can even blink. Eggster good for the 2, and it's just down to Shondex. Swarm, but has to take a couple 1v1s. It does leave it a little bit interesting, but not for very long.
That's why, like, I was looking into this game. I was like wondering why Blue Water would still want to pick Lotus here against Rankers that have had such a good defensive half with how, you know, Inspire has been playing around the C site, and it almost seems like everything that they're trying to draft across here is just trying to take down Inspire. Because again, you're looking at this type of setup, this type of composition that plays a lot of 3 or 4-1 scenarios. You know, like, okay, well, if he's going to play around the cages, if there's a one-way on this side, he's going to play around this corner. We could maybe break util, try to catch him off guard, trying to spray through the smokes and take him down, but they still can't. This time, maybe.
Yeah, a little more thrown at you, but even still, the wall's unbroken until you catch one. And that's more than Blue Otter would have liked him to get. Still, sight is decisively theirs this time.
Planted.
Not as much stalling that Rankers are allowed to do, at least out the gate, but they're right in front of this. No reason to not get things started right about now. In we go with the Paranoia. Kane Zero with the help of the flash to get the fight started. Extra's already way ahead of it with the judge for 2. Bob's still left to try to hold down the entire fort, and she can only grab 2 more. Poppin out-fragged 20-fold, and yet Rankers still won. I don't know how they did it, man. A 13-1 victory here on Lotus. If you didn't think Envy was back, brother, well, now you know.
Yeah, they came back with this second map with a message for sure, saying that, okay, well, maybe it was just pure luck that M80 has beaten Envy in the first place in the upper bracket. And now, just like TSM, it seems like it's going to be a low record run for both of these teams. And I'm hoping to see these two teams face off against each other and in person, or at least live for the matches, because that'll be a very fun matchup to watch.
Yeah, definitely a fun matchup to look forward to later on
if it
in
gets
the
there.
bracket. Yeah, if it gets that far, we still have so much more to play going into that. That is the conclusion of today's matches, though. We'll head back to the desk for a quick little powwow about what we just saw and going into tomorrow's matches that we're also super excited for after this short break. Don't go anywhere. pre-invaded towards that operator. He is looking good as ever. You don't need to do that, dude. You have 4 players on your team.
After that first map in the series, I think it's pretty safe to assume that we all thought we were going to be here for a while, but Envy had other plans. That was a crazy second match, 13-1, and with that, the playoff dreams stay alive here. Ash, did they continue on in our lower bracket?
I think it's crazy, the turnaround. Like, Haven, sure, dominant at the beginning there for Envy, but then Blue Water somehow make that comeback. And then on Lotus, it was just Envy the entire way through. I think Blue Water got their first round, like, what, 8 rounds in or something like that, somewhere around that mark, and they just weren't able to find their footing. It felt like the Envy that we had seen earlier on in this split, playing with that same level of confidence and aggression that they've become known for.
Yeah, but with Roy and his whole org debuff theory, he never did give a timeline on how long that debuff took into effect. Apparently, it's a series and a half, because this is the rankers, this is the Envy, and that going into things, this is what I expected. It seemed impossible for Blue Otter to go up against sometimes, and I think that's why we expected so much of this team and why we were so surprised to see them in the lower bracket in the first place.
This is everyone's favorite team, and when they get a performance like this one, at 13-1 on Lotus to close it out and keep moving forward in the lower bracket, it has to feel good for the fans. I think they did everything that we expected, right? Just running it down, fragging out, KaneZera still popping off in this ISO, and on top of that, it was a Blue Otter. They just could never find themselves at all. I mean, honestly, it seemed like everything was going wrong for them. No chances, no clutches, no opportunities to be able to isolate the Zulus, close them out. And for Envy, obviously, it feels great. Again, this is everybody's favorite team for a reason.
For Blue Otter, it was definitely well fought. When I look back at the series, I'm going to recall that first map of Haven, because Blue Otter have definitely put up a fantastic fight throughout this first Swiss stage. And even in that match to send them into the lower bracket, it was a really, really close one. So it's still, even if this is not the map, Ash, that they would have wanted to go out on in this sort of fashion, I think they definitely need to keep their heads held high, even if it might be tough for this moment. And for Rankers to take such then a dominant win, I think just really is showcasing what form they're going to be in for hopefully the rest of this playoffs run.
Oh, absolutely. I think they just played, their own game in this Lotus map. And you look towards the post-plant situation, that 11 and 12, a lot of it had to do with, obviously, Rankers, they dismantle the early trap plays. They are able to find all those first bloods, 11 out of the 14 rounds. And then just being able to, I think, continuously push forward is the big thing. Is for Blue Water, if they're going to look to play the retake with this comp, they have to be able to set up for it. And Rankers are this type of team who are going to give you that breathing room, and they just smother all of those lanes of re-entry. They continue to aggress forward and find those picks, not even giving a chance for Blue Water to even pull out that utility half of the time is what it felt like. And it was difficult, I think, for them because, that also meant that Zeldris wasn't getting those chances to be set up the way that we would have normally expected to see him. And he got shut down consistently on those first engagements, whether it was by Eggster, KaneZera, and Inspire as well, I think popping off in those first kills, and everything just fell into place here for Rankers. They played better Valorant today.
I know Vans and Tenric were kind of laughing about Poppin's kills at the end of that. But again, he didn't need to, because when KaneZera and Eggster are just paving the way for the team, it makes your job as the IGL so easy. And Dan, this was a KaneZera that was a lot more active, a lot more activated in this series than versus the M80 team, which was very needed for Rankers to be able to continue on forward.
I need a team like that where I got 0 kills in the first half. We're winning every round. I need that, please. That was crazy. And yeah, like you said, it was, it wasn't even needed. The kills were not even needed because the team was doing so well, and KaneZera was just, look at this ACS. I mean, are we looking at the same thing? 400 ACS, and Eggster also popping off 352. It just, I love what this team is able to do with the double duelist. This is what all the teams want to do. This is the Valorant that it seems like everybody wants to play, just running it down, having fun, fragging out. And the fact that they're actually able to make it work and make something out of the craziness is great to see. So I'm happy that we're going to continue to see them in the lower bracket.
The teams that inspire to have these strong double duelist compositions are screenshotting this, printing it out, and putting it as like a reminder about their desk. Like, I can do this. Maybe one day we can do this. But be able to see the team then in this form, I think, answers a lot of questions for what is maybe to come for this team. But to answer any that we have remaining, well, it's time for the post-match interview with none other than the Yoru man himself, Egster, on the line. Congratulations on the win. It was a close first map, a statement of a second map. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. A lot of adrenaline still. Very hyped.
That's great. I mean, going into this bracket, it was definitely a little bit of a surprise to see how that first series went, to even have the conversation about Envy now in this lower bracket run. So what was it in that first series, and how are you feeling about the rest of the run now going through this lower bracket?
Yeah, I think it was just shaking off the cobwebs. We only lost one map in the Swiss stage, and that was our first match. So, I mean, I expected us to not be our 100% coming in, but I didn't expect us to lose. Kind of a little bit of a wake-up call, but I think everyone on the team is still good headspace, and I think we're ready to win the whole thing still.
I love to hear that still good headspace going on forward for all of this. And you're talking about that month-long break. A lot has changed during that. Before the break, we got to see Coach Stunner join the squad. During the break, we got to see Rankers now signed on to Envy. So I want to know, with all of these changes and everything, how much has kind of changed behind the scenes that we don't really get to see?
Stunner helps a lot. Stunner is definitely the biggest change. And I think the whole joining Envy thing is something everyone needs to get used to. That also may have impacted our first series. It's a different set of expectations when you're playing for an org. You have more responsibilities, maybe a little more pressure. But I think all of that's gone now. I think we've got that settled.
That's good, especially too, that pressure that you're talking about. It was a pressure that the team didn't have way back when we saw you guys in stage 3, and now really as talk of one of the best teams, if not the best team in Challengers. I think that's really cool to kind of see you guys overcome that. So now lower bracket, of course, you took that loss against M80. They're gearing up. Shopify Rebellion Black, they're looking stronger than ever. I want to know who you're looking most forward to playing and how you feel with the upcoming matches.
Definitely Cubert Academy. I do it with T-Dog all night. I would love to play him again. And listen, last time we beat them, he said that they weren't giving it their 100%. So I want to see them at their 100%. I want to play Cubert Academy full force.
Looking forward to it. Big words from him, and I'm excited to see you guys back it up. This is a great win today, so you guys deserve an early night. Egster, thank you for chatting. Have a good night.
Thank you. Yep.
Thank you. All right, back over to the desk. Oh, okay. I'm looking forward to when they'll get to face off against Cubert Academy. I'd love to hear that. It might have to wait a little bit, though, because looking at the bracket, 2 very different runs for these teams ahead. Of course, Envy is going to be staying alive throughout this lower bracket run. But for Cubert Academy, Ash, that's going to be them then tomorrow.